ESPN presents the 1986 Final Four, featuring the Duke Blue Devils, the Jayhawks of Kansas, the LSU Tigers, and the Louisville Cardinals. Welcome once again to our look at Final Fours past. I'm Bob Lee, and it was Destination Dallas for 1986 Reunion Arena. Duke coming in out of the ACC with 36 victories, and that was a total that was second only to the numbers racked up by Kentucky back in 1948. Kansas basketball has a storied history, and this was the 7th trip for the Jayhawks to the Final Four. Took an overtime thriller over Michigan State. Remember that game with the famous timing error, but Kansas was there. LSU enjoyed home court advantage in Baton Rouge for the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. That certainly helped. Then they went on to beat Georgia Tech in Atlanta and followed that up by beating Kentucky in the 4th meeting of the season. That's how LSU got to Big D. Louisville, well, as usual, the Cardinals were peaking in the month of March, having won 15 of their last 16 games. And certainly when the calendar says March, the Louisville gas gauge usually reads full, and it did. We're going off to Dallas to take a look at 1986 right after this.
Obvious camaraderie of the two mascots. These two basketball teams hardly know one another. They've played each other just once since 1948. LSU's freak defense, a confusing combination of zone and man-to-man, gives Louisville fits in the early going. Don Redden passes ahead to John Williams. LSU leads 7-2. Louisville patiently looks for the open man. With no one open on the floor, the Cardinals look above the floor. When freshman Purvis Ellison lands, the score is 7-4. LSU's defense stays tough. Derek Taylor leads the fast break. He takes the return pass and hits LSU's 5th field goal in their first 6 attempts for an 11-4 lead. LSU keeps it going. Anthony Wilson's shot is put in by 6'6" Ricky Blanton, who played center through much of the Tigers' injury and illness problems. The Cardinals are also shooting well, 67% to be exact. Milt Wagner ties the score at 19. Late in the half, though, Louisville misses 7 straight shots, and the Tigers take advantage. Anthony Wilson follows his own miss. Moments later, Taylor feeds Wilson. LSU takes an 8-point lead into halftime. Despite the deficit, Louisville coach Denny Crum was optimistic heading into the second half.
Being down 8 points at halftime is always a concern. But I didn't think we could play much worse, and I didn't think they could play much better. And I told them we just had to tighten up. 8 points is just a matter of a 2 or 3 minute span. And I said it's just a question of us putting more pressure on them defensively, taking away a few of the things that they want to do, and then doing a little better job of execution on our own part.
Midway through the second half, the Tigers lose their shooting touch. And the Cardinals begin to execute. Billy Thompson feeds Milt Wagner. LSU cuts off the baseline, but Wagner is there to finish the break. Louisville then takes command of the boards. Billy Thompson soars to bring the Cardinals to within 4. As LSU continues to miss, Louisville unleashes a devastating fast break. Jeff Hall feeds Milt Wagner, and Louisville takes its first lead of the game, 56-54 with 13 minutes to go. The onslaught continues. The Cardinals hit 5 of their next 6 shots and open up a 10-point lead with 10 minutes remaining. Coach Dale Brown will try anything to get his team going, and his Tigers respond. Wilson helps LSU crawl to within 4. But then Louisville's size begins to dominate. Purvis Ellison goes over the outman Tigers. Moments later, Jeff Hall beats his man inside. Louisville's lead is back to 10. Denny Crubb felt that Louisville's superior depth was the difference.
The pace was in our favor, I think, primarily because we had more depth than they did. We had played a pressing style of game all year. And when you play that style of game, usually the last 4 or 5 minutes of a game, you're better than your opponent because you're in better condition than most of them. You have a feeling of confidence that eventually your pressure will get to the opponent. And in most cases, it did.
In this case, it certainly did. LSU shot 35% in the second half. Louisville's fast break shifts into high gear. Milt Wagner feeds Herbert Crook. And Ellison provides the finishing touches to an 88-77 semifinal victory.